Malaysia Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim's unity government is about to face its first big test. Campaigning is underway in 6 state elections. Former rivals Pakatan Harapan and Barisan Nasional are working together for the first time, and they're facing off against opposition coalition Perikatan Nasional for the state governments in Selangor, Penang, Negeri Sembilan, Kelantan, Terengganu and Kedah. What could happen in these few days leading up to the vote on August the 12th and even beyond? Let's get to the point with Malaysia Bureau Chief Shannon Teo. So Shannon, we're early into campaigning, but already Mr. Anwar is on the defense. What are the big challenges that you can see facing his government in these polls?
Well, the thing is that this poll, because it's involving 6 states, that means basically half of all electoral will be voting in these elections. So it's being positioned as a referendum, not on the state governments themselves, but on the federal government under Anwar Ibrahim. So it's not so much the question of how the states have performed, and a lot of the chief ministers have gone out saying that I've achieved this and that or the other, but it's about how Anwar's government has performed. But more than that, it is about political ideology. As you mentioned, Pakatan Harapan and Barisan Nasional have come together for the first time. A lot of their supporters are very confused by this configuration because obviously at the last general election, that was just in November, 8 months ago, Pakatan Harapan were campaigning saying Barisan Nasional were very corrupt. Barisan Nasional were campaigning saying Pakatan Harapan was had an agenda to undermine the interests of the Malay Muslim majority. So the question being put to voters, and this is the Perikatan narrative, right, is whether this is the Malaysian government you want. To Pakatan supporters, they're asking, well, with Zahid Hamidi as Deputy Prime Minister, even though he has 47 graft charges against him, is that the government you want? To BN supporters, the question is, well, you've always said that Anwar and DAP having the biggest say in this coalition and they are anti-Malay. Is this the government you want? That's the question that Perikatan is putting to voters, and that's really the challenge for Anwar Ibrahim.
Well, then, ahead of August the 12th, Shannon, what are some of the big names or the hot seats to watch out for?
There are some interesting battles, some places where you look as bellwether of how the vote could go. Now, both sides are locked in a very stiff battle for Selangor. Selangor is Malaysia's richest state, and it's the state that most observers say is the most likely to swing, right? It's currently being held by Pakatan Harapan. But Perikatan is saying that this is the state that's most in play. Now, you have one particular district called Gombak. That's where the current chief minister, Amiruddin Shari, and his former mentor, who was the previous chief minister, Azmin Ali, faced off in November. Amir won that round. Now in Gombak, there are 3 state wards, and Amir is contesting one, Azmin is contesting another. And in yet another seat, there is someone who is Azmin's former political secretary versus the UMNO state chief. So in terms of big names, these are the biggest names. They're all in Gombak, and the campaign will kind of overlap, between these state seats. So that's where I think we're really looking at, if there's going to be a swing, you're going to kind of detect it there. Because all the big guns are going to be there. They were there in nomination day. Anwar Ibrahim was there to support them. Muhyiddin Yassin was also there to support his guys. So a lot of attention being focused on this district, Gombak, which is, just outside Genting Islands.
Well, really interesting indeed. Thank you very much, Shannon. It's always a pleasure.